Hey guys, live on NorthClindarden.com, and of course the house of Biceps. Alright guys, I'm here at the house of Biceps. A few weeks ago, I put up a video on the YouTubes, question and answer. I wanted you guys to ask me questions so I could give answers. And man, I got a huge response. We're looking at somewhere around 60 something responses. I had planned on answering each one of these in an individual video, but I've been watching I watch a lot of guitar videos. I'm trying to learn guitar, and I love just listening to other people's ideas, their questions, their answers, and a lot of people are just taking up a whole 45-minute, hour video, something like that, answering people's questions one by one. So I'm going to start off today, try to answer 10 to 15 questions, make a nice long full video, hope to kind of rapid fire, which means several minutes with me, rapid fire several of your questions. If I cover a topic that you would like to hear me go more in detail about, comment down below, and then I will work again this month or as soon as possible to make a full video in detail about that topic. Every few days I'll try to release another 10 to 15 question Q&A, and then of course next month I'll do it all over again. Let's get moving, guys. All right, Anthony asked, do you plan on competing again in anything, strongman, powerlifting, or Olympic weightlifting? Man, I'll be 40 in a few days, so that puts me in Europe. I'm already a master, so in Europe I can already go ahead and compete as a masters in strongman. In the Americas, you have to actually have had your 40th birthday to compete. So ideally, I would love to go back and compete somewhat in strongman. I will be honest and say that I have a lot of fears about coming back. I do have a lot of pains. If you watch my training videos, I have a lot of pains from chemo that stems from my shoulders all the way through my arms, loss of bone marrow, lots of injuries and things like that. So it hurts to do a lot of pressing. It hurts to use anything upper body. But the dream is still there. The absolute dream is to absolutely be there and to get out there on the field and to be able to compete with my fellow competitors. And that's step one anyway. I want to do well, nervous about not doing well, but the first step is just getting back out on the field and failing at first, then getting my feet wet, coming back a little bit after that. So I don't know, later on this year, I know there is a contest in the UK in December. Man, I don't know about going to the UK, to the land of cold and darkness and rain in December after leaving Cyprus, but it's a pretty good thought, and I hope to make it this year, and I need to get back to competing, doing something at least once or twice every year. It's good for the mind. Powerlifting, I would love to do. There's nothing in Cyprus for powerlifting. Weightlifting, well, that's a whole nother political aspect in the country of Cyprus. That's probably best left up to a lawyer. Lupe asked, who do I think is the best modern day strongman? I think that, no doubt, when you look over the last 10 years or so, it has to be Big Z, Zydrunas Savickas. Pudzianowski was absolutely dominant, until he had to compete against Big Z. And that was the beginning of the end for Pudzianowski. So, you look at the federation split that came back together. Terry Hollins was here a couple of months ago, and I was thinking that Terry had competed in more competitions than any other professional strongman, and he said the only person who could possibly have competed more than him would be Big Z. So you look at someone who's competed more times than any other athlete, and they are still at the top, still making the finals in their 40s. Brian Shaw's definitely got to be there. I think you have to look at athletes that have done well across a decade or more to be able to say they are the best modern day strongman. And to be the best modern day strongman, that doesn't mean you can show up and do 1 or 2 shows a year and win it. You look at someone You know, one of the reasons why I respected Terry Holland so much, and I have for 10 years, is that he literally competed in 30 or 40 shows a year. And Zavickas is the exact same way, and there are a lot of European strongmen, not the top tier guys, but the guys that are around my level, say, you know, third division of the pros, that literally compete somewhere every single weekend. And I think that is what the modern professional strongman is, somebody who can go and compete every single weekend. It doesn't matter what the events are. You show up and you compete. And you look at, you know, World's Strongest Man this year. The weekend after Worlds, you had people like Terry Hollins, like Big Laws, like Zavickas. You know, they finished the contest and then competed the next 3 or 4 weekends straight. So they did, you know, the preliminaries and then the finals of World's Strongest Man. So that's like 10 days, right? 2 shows in 10 days. And then the next weekend they competed again, and the next weekend again, and the next weekend again, and the next weekend again. Then they had a week off. What did they do with themselves? You know, maybe rest a little bit, and then competing again. That's the real modern day strongman. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see Big Z as being the best modern day strongman. Douglas asks, Clint, what is your take on exclusive use of the SS Yoke Bar instead of a straight bar? You've seen a lot of strongmen go this way, Brian Shaw, and have great success. I use it as well. I got the SS Yoke Bar. I was sitting at a table having a conversation with Dave Tate, and I was trying to qualify for World Championships in weightlifting. And I was having issues squatting as far as powerlifting squatting, box squatting, weightlifting squats, and having to force my hands behind my shoulders, you know, several times a week, and then having to snatch and then having to clean. It's just my wrist, elbows, shoulders, pecs, everything was just a little bit tired, but I had to train my legs. You know, your legs have to be in shape. You have to squat. So I just mentioned to Dave, and I said, hey, you know, I'm saving up for one of those SS Yoke Bars. I really think that if I had one, it would help me qualify for Worlds, and it would really help me in the sport of weightlifting. Without missing a beat, he says, take that one off the rack right there. Didn't expect that at all. So I took Dave Tate's SS Yoke Bar, loaded it in my car, and shipped it from the land of Ohio to the country of Cyprus, and it's sitting back there behind me, and I use it every week. You know, if you are a power lifter, and even then I have a lot of power lifters, we will do their dynamic effort work with the SS Yoke Bar. We'll do a lot of their dynamic bench press work off of a 2-board, and then we'll have a separate day where we're doing, you know, geared squats, working up, you know, with 5s, 3s, 2s, whatever it is, you know, working with a regular squat bar in gear. They will do their bench press, you know, touching it with their shirt on. You know, you have to look at the fact that there is training and there is testing. So in the training part, you know, I need to train them to be explosive, to be very dynamic, to fire off the box as hard as possible. And if I'm constantly forcing them to do that with a box squat, constantly forcing them to rip their elbows, wrists, shoulders, things like that, putting a stress on those joints, their bench press is going to go down, their deadlift is going to go down, obviously their board press, a strongman's overhead press, Atlas stone, sandbag, super yoke, everything is going to go down because they're having a constant stress and a little bit of pain on those joints that can be avoided. So your squat technically might be higher if you stuck with a straight bar. Or we can sacrifice a little bit on your squat by moving to an SS Yoke Bar and probably have a greater carryover to your deadlift, and it will save your joints all the way around so you can put more effort into things like Atlas stones, sandbags, super yoke, tire flip. Your joints don't hurt as much for the log clean and press, for the axle clean and press, for the dumbbell. So you do sacrifice a little, but I think you gain a whole lot in return just by using the SS Yoke Bar instead of a straight squat bar. Steven asks, Clint, what do you think about low test and low deca and high trend cycles? He's noticing great stuff. Have I tried similar combinations or combinations that kind of go against the norm in this? I I will say that, the big thing that's kind of gone around is, the Europeans are using low dose test and low dose DECA and high dose tren. That's not something that was just scientifically come up with. It's just in Europe for the last 10 to 15 years, trenbolone has been available, but it was available in parabolin ampules, 76 milligrams per amp, and it was expensive. So now the European market is flooded with underground labs, quality stuff, but it's affordable, and it's in 100 to 150 milligrams per ml, and it's affordable. So you have a lot of people who are using trenbolone. You also have a lot of people who are trying to stay in a weight class. If you look at tren and DECA being of similar natures, one way or the other that you want to look at it, a lot of people will use DECA at a low dose to protect their joints, and over a long cycle, DECA really does build up in the body, and they're keeping their test levels low, 200 milligrams a week, 300 milligrams a week, 400 milligrams a week, a small fraction of their total milligrams per week, and seeing great results. All I can say is that a lot of people see great results with it, and then they see great results flipping it back the other way. I think the flip side to the story is that a lot of people for a long time, they only had access to huge doses of tren. And 7, 8, 10, 15 years ago, you had a lot of 400 and 600 milligrams per ml test. So that was kind of the thing to do. Let's run a ton of tests. And then other things like trenbolone was hard to find in high milligrams. So I think it works fine. It doesn't work forever, but nothing works forever. But I think the reasoning behind it is not some big scientific reasoning. I think it's more of an availability type of issue. Lou asks, will drinking beer kill my gains? Not bad. 75% recycled glass too. Look, drinking beer and alcohol is not going to kill your gains. If you make some big conscious decision that you're going to go out and do the liquid diet all night long, instead of eating things like food and having things like sleep, absolutely it's going to kill your progress. But if you finish training and you decide to reward yourself with a beer or 2 or 3, and it puts a smile on your face, then it ain't killing nothing. All it takes is a little bit of common sense. If you enjoy having a beer, and it's summer outside, I enjoy tequila in the summer, I enjoy bourbon in the winter, and I enjoy beer, well, when I hang out with my wife. We sit and go to a bar and we each order a beer, have some food, we smile, we laugh, we have a good time. Now, you can't tell me that smiling, laughing, and having a good time over food and relaxing is going to kill all my gains. Heck, it's probably extending my life. And if I'm having fun with my wife, it's definitely extending my marriage. And if I have a good marriage, I get to train more often. If I get to train more often, I get to be bigger and stronger, have more gains. Heck, beer saves marriages, builds gains. Old Fat Bearded and Lifting asked how to manage warm-ups at the warm-up room at the meet. So much of this has to do with the kind of meet that you run. I have lifters who are IPF lifters, so they run and they get on the scale to weigh. And in less than 2 hours, they're squatting. And in about an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours total, they have already done squat, bench press, and deadlift. So their warm-ups are very concise, and it's very similar to the training. They get their squat bar, and it's warming, a little bit of mobility work, and they're just going through the motions on squats. Sets of 2s, Sets of 1, making sure nothing hurts, making sure their technique is there. As soon as they finish squats, they're headed over to bench. Warm up on bench, make sure nothing hurts. Your training should be set up very similar to the way you're going to compete. It drives me insane when I see people in their meet write-up on Facebook, like their meet write-ups really should be on Facebook. Like there are people really waiting to see how you did at your local meet on Facebook. This is not CNN, guys. That many people don't care. But really, I guess a lot of people do care. I shouldn't say that. A lot of people do care, and a lot of people I do catch up with their meet. What drives me insane, though, it's not the Facebook status. It's that they write, the meet didn't go as planned. How did it not go as planned? You didn't plan the meet well? Well, that was your fault. That wasn't anybody else's fault. You didn't plan things out right. Holy cow, I may need another beer. Now, granted, in training, you're going to need more warm-ups, and fine programming, you're probably going to be doing a lot of volume work in the 60, 70, and 80% range. But all you have to do to manipulate that when you go to the meet is instead of doing sets of 8s, 6s, and 3s, or repetitive sets of 3s at 70, 75, and 80%, hit a single, hit a double. If you feel good and you're warm, you should be able to walk out there and hit your opener. And then decide, hey, let's add 15 pounds, 30 kilos for the next lift. Make the call as it goes. The general rule is, first lift, it's for your country. It's whoever you really, really represent. Deep, deep down, it's who you represent. Your second attempt, it's for your coach. That proves that he's done something, that proves that you have listened to him and you've done something more than just get into the meet. And that third attempt, that's for you, and you only. If you want a number, put it on the bar. If you make it, you make it, and if you don't, who cares? You went for it. It was yours to gamble. Have fun. I think a big mistake that you can make up in the warm-up room is taking way too much time, doing way too many sets, doing sets of 5, doing sets of 4s and 3s, doing way too much work before your name is called. The idea is that your body should be loose or tight. I just mean not in pain. You should be able to hit depth on your openers, and that's really all that you need to do. You need to know going into the meet what you can touch. There should be no question. So managing your warm-ups, it should be easy to get warm. You should have practiced this a million times in training leading up to the meet. Shouldn't be an issue. Chad asks, Clint, what's the best way to box squat for a raw powerlifter? Chad, that's a solid question. I think one of the biggest things people forget, one of the biggest things people need to remember is that the box squat is not your squat. Whether you're looking at knee position or whatever, in general, your feet are about 1 to 2 inches per foot wider on the box squat than what your normal squat stance, what your competitive squat stance will be. It is a little bit wider. The only thing that I look for on a box squat, other than, technique and shins and sitting back and not rocking back, and, the bar path shouldn't be at an angle like that. It should be pretty much vertical. I look at how fast you can explode off the box. So you're going down, don't slam on the box. You need to slowly sit on the box. You don't want to have contact. You want it to sit, keep everything tight, and then you have to be able to explode, just as if you were jumping, for tip-off on a basketball game, or if you were sprinting, it's how fast you can come off the blocks. You have to be at a complete standstill first, and that's what I'm looking for, how fast you can come off the blocks, how fast you can go from a standstill to jump up and get the rebound, how fast you can go from standing still to throw that punch and hitting somebody with it. Your body has to be relaxed, and then it has to be able to explode. And I want to see how fast you can go from relaxed to explode. So there are no set standards of how it has to be done, except it has to be done explosively, raw, or full power geared. Todd asked about the Juggernaut Program. Todd, give me a few days or a week or so. I've got to sit down in front of my dry erase marker board. I want to draw everything out because I want to explain how those two programs can mesh. I've done that for several clients before, put those two programs together to make it mesh and really, really work very effectively and very efficiently. I would also like to be able to put it into a document that you guys can download that I don't have to pay for. So if you guys comment down below, if you guys know of some way that I can create a document, you know, whatever, type it up, you know, whether it's 10, 15 pages long, something like that, and I can store it so that everybody that reads this can download it, at least for a month or something like that, without it costing me an arm and a leg. Let me know and I'll get to work on that. That way, whenever I write the program out and get the video out to you guys, you can download it and save it on your phone, print it out like I like to do, and get to work. Tyler asked, how would you split up training for a competitive strongman and powerlifter when a strongman competition is coming up versus when a powerlifting competition is coming up? You know, I think it's very interesting. I think in this manner, you're probably not a professional strongman. So what I normally do for a lot of my athletes that are part-time everything, you know, and they work full-time and have jobs and things of that nature, families, we will have 2 days of training during the week. One is lower body accessory, one is upper body accessory, and then a third day, maybe a third and a fourth, is strongman specific. So on our lower body accessory day, we might be doing, we're almost always doing dynamic effort box squats, good mornings, speed deadlifts, glute ham raises, a good bit of lat work, warming up the triceps, warming up the abs, and that's pretty much it. It's everything that's going to benefit all of your other lower body exercises, as well as carry over into your strongman events. On your upper body day, I do a lot of dynamic effort bench press off a 2 board or off a 3 board because we're working a little bit on the bench press, and we want to have carry over to your log press, your dumbbell press, your axle press, everything upper body. We'll finish off maybe with some heavier board presses, a lot of tricep volume, a little bit of lat work, enough hamstring work just to get some blood and recovery into the hamstrings, some low back, and again some abs. But the idea is to do accessories for the upper body. When it comes to day 3, this is your strongman day. Sometimes we'll need a day 3 and a day 4. We'll split the events up, and that's all specific for your events. Now, the way we switch things around is I'll have athletes that'll say, hey, there's a powerlifting meet coming up in a few weeks. All we do is we keep day 1 and day 2 the same. We might intensify them just a little bit, especially at the beginning. And then our day 3 will be a squat, bench press, and deadlift. We might work up to a set of 5, you know, say 80 to 85%, 83% on squats. Then we'll move straight to bench press. The goal might be to work up to 87% for a perfect single on a bench press. And then we want to hit somewhere around 80% on the deadlift. Technically perfect. It should take about an hour and a half, less than 2 hours in the gym. Finish off with 1 or 2 sets of abs to reset the spine, and then you're out the door. So you've done some accessory work, upper body, done some accessory work, lower body, then you got in the gym, had a technical day that was squat, bench press, and deadlift, which gets you meet ready, and you're never very far from being able to compete in both. So the only thing that really changes is how hard you push your upper and lower body accessory day, as well as whether your day 3/day 4 is strongman specific or powerlifting specific. Working on my gains. Q Yoko says, home strongman training questions. Essential strongman equipment for a home gym and best ways to get it or to make it. You know, I began the sport of strongman. I weighed 306 pounds. Naturally, I went from 154 pounds to 306 naturally. It is possible. I was a fat 306, but I'd done it over a long time. We're talking about more of a decade here. And I made a promise to myself that after I weighed over 300 pounds, I was going to get in shape. And I was really into the dinosaur training book. It's a solid book to get interested in strongman. So, you know, I went searching all the way around, calling tire companies, construction companies out of the phone book, the yellow pages. We actually had phone books back then. And I picked up a 550-pound tire and something like a 650 tractor tire that was really ugly and hard to flip. And I picked up a 1,000-pound tire as well. All free, but I had to go pick them up. I made farmer's implements out of a pair of easy curl bars. I put tape in the middle, and that allowed me to, you know, I could load them up to like 130, 150 pounds, which is much more difficult on an easy curl bar than it is a pair of farmer's implements. I eventually made a pair of farmer's implements out of wooden blocks, and I put screws in them with some chain and a little rubber handle, and I could kind of plate load the top, which worked really great, up to about 250 pounds, which was enough to train with. It was better than nothing. I have made a sled, and I could drag it, push it, drag my car, push my car. I picked up some rope from Lowe's. I could do, you know, arm over arm pulls. I had a friend who was an arborist, cut down trees, a big tree doctor, and he cut down a tree, several trees, and he made me some like Husafell stones out of wood. You just cut them out and made a little face spot in the middle so I could sort of breathe. And we would pick those up and carry those. I bought a cheap Atlas stone. You can pick up river rocks. Really, you're only limited by your mind. If you have any kind of bumper plates, you can get a little plate loader, and you can load, put plates on there and make a little makeshift Atlas stone. But the idea is to get out and do something. The greatest advice I can give you is to find a strongman training crew. I don't care how far you have to drive. It blows my mind when people say there's no place to do strongman around here. That's why I can't do it. I used to wake up and drive 4 hours each way to be at the gym in St. Louis by 7:30 in the morning. We would train, and I mean by 8 o'clock, those guys started. Openers began on squats at 8 o'clock. If you weren't there and ready to go at 8 o'clock, just get back in your car and leave. Events began at 8 o'clock, so you had to be there and be ready. If I can do it, you can do it. You know, when I first began strongman, I took last in my first strongman competition. And then the closest place to go train was an hour away. So every other Saturday I would wake up, had to be there before 8 o'clock, eat breakfast in the truck on the way down. I met the guys at the gym. I loaded stones, did farmers, log, rack. I did every event they possibly had, car flip, whatever everybody else was doing. I mean, I only had 2 chances a month at best to get my hands on the events. So I did absolutely everything. If anybody said, hey, you want to do it? Yes, I'm doing it. Let's do it. You know, I'll take Tylenol later. I'll stretch and hurt for 2 more weeks. I don't care, but I need experience more than anything. And you learn more by being around other people. I can give you 1 or 2 or 3 ideas. I can give you 1 perspective though. If you go into a training group and there are 10 people there, then you're getting 10 different perspectives. Now, 8 of them may be total crap, but if you get 2 perspectives, then you just got double the information than you got from listening to me. And you got it in real time, and you got to ask questions. So the best advice I can give you is find a training crew. Even if it means you can only go once a month, save your money. It's absolutely worth it. Well, guys, I am almost finished with my beer, finished with the videos for today. Give me a couple of days. I will shoot a whole nother video for you guys. I am going to get to every question on this list. If you want me to cover something more in depth, let me know. I'm not done. We'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys.